Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Evil Dungeon Master Universe Podcast. I am your host, Vince, the Evil Dungeon Master. Hopefully you're doing well out there. Today is Friday. Time for the weekend. Time for maybe gaming for you, maybe gaming not for you. I won't be gaming this weekend, but hopefully next weekend we'll be gaming. Anyway, things that are going on. I know been lack of videos and audios this week due to my back pain and everything. So I'm taking it one day at a time until I can get the MRI and figure out what's going on exactly with the whole situation. But anyway, so today I felt actually really good, so I wanted to sit down and actually do a podcast and talk about things. So yeah, looks like I'll be getting a redesign of Mazes and Perils. I've been releasing a lot of things lately. A couple classes we released were Warlock, Witch Hunter, Ranger, and I think another one. I can't remember what it is offhand. But we have two magazines that we did release: Perilous Pathways 1 and 2, which gave you some new stuff for Mazes and Perils. But yeah, we're getting a redesign of the deluxe edition. I'm in talks with someone to get it redesigned and revamped a little into the A5 size. So that's something to look forward to, at least in my opinion. It's something that I can look forward to because I've been wanting to have an A5 size of the game since I did it. And when I originally did the game, A5 just didn't come across my mind, and it was just becoming like a thing. And I like the way the A5 edition looks on the shelf. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's too small," but nah, it's perfect size for me. And if you make the font just right, it's just as good as having a full A4 size book. Anyway, with that all on the side, ask the DM at theevildm.com is my email address, and theevildm.com is my website where you can go and see all the things I'm doing and everything. YouTube.com/theevildm is my YouTube video. Getting closer to 10,000 people, subscribers, that are coming aboard, and I noticed a lot of people were watching back issues. I call it issues because that's what it is. Back issues of things on my channel, like the Star Wars videos and the AD&D videos and the Palladium videos. Some people are watching the GURPS videos, but so today's topic is going to be a little bit more along the lines of a general topic than just really focused on AD&D, but it still is an AD&D topic in itself. I'm talking about today theater of the mind. I wanted to sit down and talk about that a little bit and try to explain it in my own words, give any little advice I possibly can on it. Because it's not something that everybody really grasps when it comes to theater of the mind. Most people really don't understand it, and I think it might be the fact that when we played as kids in the 80s, a lot of times we didn't have minis and a battle mat because it wasn't readily available or was too expensive. So we mostly played with theater of the mind. Now, granted, when I played towards second edition, when I was playing that very, very briefly in one of my friend's basements, he did actually have a whole table that he put a plexiglass over with kind of like tack paper underneath it that was squared. So he would actually take the time to draw out the maps, and we had little miniature figures, and you can buy. They were like the lead paint ones. You were able to buy those around the 90s. But when we played in the 80s, and I didn't play over his house in the basement, it was all theater of the mind, and the DM would actually have to draw out things sometimes on a piece of paper to clarify for players. Now, I think that whole theater of the mind way of playing has been kind of lost when it comes to newer generations of playing games. I'm not saying that they don't play it that way, and I'm not putting them down or anything, but I just think it's been lost, and they don't understand it as much as we do when it comes to theater of the mind. Now, as a DM, when you're running theater of the mind, you have to lay out the situation for players, and then players have to ask questions about the environment so you can describe it to them in a better situation. So if I'm having about I don't know, say we're having a battle. And it's like, oh, you guys get attacked by 6 goblins in the forest when you're walking through it, and they are in the trees, and you are just walking into the forest. So the players get to go first, and they would ask, well, am I able to attack? Now, you as the DM have to decide, is the player close enough to move into attack, or are they too far away? Now, this is the beginning of the round, and they were surprised by, we'll say they're surprised by the goblins. You can say, no, you're about 15 feet away, as they jumped out on you guys. So the player would have to move in to attack. Now, you as a DM have to decide if that 15 feet is enough for them to cover or not. Generally, you could say yes. It really depends. If you want to cut down on the waiting and stuff, yeah, I would probably say they're a little bit far away, but if you move, you can get there and attack. Things like that. You have to decide now. If players are like, well, I want to take cover. You have to decide as a DM. Well, they're in the foresty area. Are they near a tree? It'll take you 2 turns to run to a tree. Okay, things like that. You as the GM, DM, whatever you want to call it, have to really decide and lay it out in your head. Um, Generally, when players in my group are asking what to do, where to go, and who to attack, they'll be like, "Are there any left?" Yes, there's 4 goblins left. Okay, well, I attack, and I go, which one? 1, 2, 3, or 4? And I will tell them 4 is the closest one to you, 1 is the furthest one away from you. You have to do things like that. You have to lay out the scene as well sometimes. Like you could say, you're in the foresty area, there are a bunch of trees around you, there are some rocks um, that are in your way that might hinder your movement, things like that. When you're inside of a building, you have to lay out the land. Like, let's say you're playing a modern game, and inside the office, you're looking for. Let's say you were a spy and you were looking for some files inside of a desk drawer while the office building was closed. So you're looking for this information, and all of a sudden, I say, well, you hear the noise. The door opens up, and 2 security guards walk in. Now, the office layout in your head will be an office layout different in my head. But what we could do is come to a common ground and say, well, okay, you're searching through the desk. This is not just picture a general office area where there's a bunch of desks. There's no walls on the cubicles, just a bunch of desks. There's maybe like 10 desks in here with a typical setup of a computer on them and phones. There's probably a board on the wall or a clock that has timings or that gives away different stats for the day, depending on what type of office it is. And there's a door across the room. There is 2 more doors leading out of this room, one near you on the opposite side where you are. And then there's another door on the left hand side of the room and the right hand side of the room. One of them is labeled restroom. So the guards come into the room. Time for initiative. We'll say you get to go first because you won initiative. What do you do? Do I have a clear? I pull out my gun. Do I have a clear shot to the guards? Yeah, you have a clear shot to the guards. They're about maybe 20 feet away from you. Sure. Or another situation, I draw my sword, and can I run and attack the guards? uh, well, unfortunately, you don't have a direct line to run to the guards because there's a bunch of desks in your way. So it'll probably take you 2 turns to get there. You have to jump onto the desks, while running to get to the guards to attack. There's a situation there. So, and this all came up because I was doing a video that I released on how I like GURPS Third Edition, and I think it's a really cool game that I've kind of ignored for the longest time in my gaming career. I was always like, eh. I mean, I played GURPS World War II with one of my friends, Dom, way back in the day, because when we were like 2000 and GURPS World War II, and we kind of played it very loose. We played the light edition, so it was even more loose than it was. But the commentator on the video, I don't want to really reveal his name because maybe he doesn't want his name. But anyway, Commentator says he likes the idea of the 3d6 system. He likes the idea of of GURPS and how it works and all the skills, but he just didn't like the combat system and how it worked in the movement and everything. So I said, why don't if you use theater of the mind, it doesn't really matter what the combat system really is. And he wasn't really sure. He said, can you explain that a little bit to me? And I tried to, and I said I would probably do an audio podcast on that, which is this right now. And I said it's very easy because I just recently played in a GURPS GI Joe game, and the DM was running the game, and he didn't follow third edition combat, which third edition GURPS combat, or GURPS combat for that matter, is annoyingly ugh. I don't like the movements of the combat of the hex map, and 1 point for this to turn this way. If you move this way, as long as you're facing this way, you can actually move. And I don't like that stuff. I like simple, basic combat. That's one of the reasons why I really liked third edition D20 combat, is because everybody has whatever 5 or 6 squares, and if you want to double that to run, that's your movement. Different areas hinder your movement because of the ground, which is fine. I like it simple, just like that. And in fact, if I don't have to use a battle mat minis, I will not use it. I don't like it at all. For the simple fact that every time I've ever used a virtual tabletop or a tabletop game with battle mats, people hem and haw over what they want to do when it comes to their turn, and it drives me up the wall. Absolutely drives me up the wall, and I cannot stand it. And you could probably hear the anger in that. I understand if you're the first person going in combat, and I'm like, all right, you guys get attacked, and boom, 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 and you're the first person. John, go. Okay. John has the right to say, let me think for a moment, because you just, threw combat at me. So, that person gets a little bit of leeway. But when it comes to second, third, fourth, and fifth person, you should be sitting there plotting your move, what you're going to do. By the time it comes to the fifth player, there should be no hemming and hawing. It should be like, all right, my turn, great. I move here and I attack. I move here and I set up this trap. I move here and I see if I get a vantage point so I can cast a spell. When I played in a bunch of 5th edition games when I was learning that in 2015, 16, whatever the hell it was, and I was trying it out because I wanted to give it a good fair shake. I always give every new edition a fair shake, unless there's something in there that I just don't like about it. I'll just drop it. But people were sitting there at the table, and they would hem and haw over what they were going to do. Oh, maybe I could do that, or I could do this. To the point that even the DM was like, all right, what are you doing? But when it came to my turn, and I didn't always go first, I was always going like second or third, depending on the role or something, because I didn't min-max my character. I was ready to go. It was, okay, I'll move here and I'll attack. I took literally maybe a half a second because I was sitting there thinking about what I was going to do. Now back to combat, and when it comes to GURPS 3rd edition combat, or 4th edition for that matter, just if you don't like something, don't use it. If you don't like the combat of the game, the way it rolls out, then don't use it. Use whatever you want to use. If you want to use D6 for initiative and make it side initiative, and you want to use squares for movement, then do that. You don't want to do that, you want to use theater of the mind, then use theater of the mind. You don't have to worry about it. When we played in the GI Joe game this weekend, the DM, or no, 2 weekends ago, the GM, sorry, I keep saying DM. The GM used theater of the mind, and I asked questions. I was playing Flint from GI Joe, and we were infiltrating a base to rescue some of the Joes. And I asked questions. We came upon the base. We were in the jungle. I said, "How far away are we?" He said, "Well, you're about 1,000 feet hiding." Okay. Is it possible for me to sneak up without them seeing me? And he said, yeah, you should be able to crawl your way through the path in the darkness to where to get closer to the guards. What I need from you is a stealth roll. Okay, so I rolled my stealth roll. My character snuck up, and he found a place that he can crouch and wait. And I said I wait for one of the guards to go inside the like little guard hut that was there, because there were two of them. And as soon as that is, I sneak up and I attack the guard. Okay, am I able to do that this turn? Yeah, you were able to do that this turn. Give me another stealth roll and then give me an attack roll. Done. I went from 1,000 feet to attacking a guard in a matter of a couple minutes. Not minutes, couple seconds, more like it. As opposed if I was using minis, I'd have to go 1, 2, 3, all that other crap. So, I mean, it's really up to you. Some people really enjoy minis, some people don't. Again, he had to lay out the land for me, so I kind of glazed over that part. But you're 1,000 feet away. There's a dirt road in front of you that's kind of dark. Every once in a while, you'll see a patrol light go across there. Just checking, as you can see, a tower with a light. There's swamp around the dirt pathway up to the guard hut, where there are two guards standing in front of a gate. That traditional old cobra symbol, like head gate type thing. There's a little office there where the guards can go in and out. You see guards change shift. If you wait long enough, which we did, it looked like it was a 3-hour shift or something like that, or 4-hour shift. We saw guards change. So, and it's nighttime and it's muggy outside, and every once in a while you do see a gator in the swamp. You see his little head poke up. So you know that going through the swamp is probably going to be dangerous. So your best bet is probably going to be taking the path, which you can use if you sneak, because it is very dark. They shouldn't be able to see you. There is a situation laid out as a basic one. If I wanted to further ask questions, I probably could. I could have asked things like, well, if I take the path and sneak up and crawl up, and they won't see me, is there like any type of plantation on the edge of it? The swamp plantation that maybe I can kind of sneak into and hide behind in case the light comes by or something. And he could have said, there is some plantation around it it's not that high, but it's enough that you can probably crawl under and hide for just a brief moment, and they won't see you, possibly, as long as you use your stealth correctly. And then we did that, and there was a chance for a gator and everything. That's how Theater of the Mind is pretty much done. Again, you have to have players that are willing to do it and have an imagination, and both you and the GM are never going to have the same situation laid out in their head. What I think will be totally different than what you think. And you have to get over that, and you have to learn that when you describe the situation, describe it as best as you can and have the players ask questions. And try to keep the situation or the scene, I'm trying to think of the word for it, consistent. That's it, consistent with what you're doing. If you tell one player this, don't tell another player something different. Let them know that it is this situation and this is how it is, and then everybody's on the same page. It's something that you have to try and something you have to get used to. I've been doing it for so long, it's kind of really difficult to express how easy it is to play this way and how fast it is to play this way. It's my preferred way to play, only for the simple fact that combat is just 100 times faster, in my opinion. And combat is something that I don't really like combat when it comes to games. I think it's a needed aspect of the game, but it's a needed aspect that I want to go quickly. I want to go back to, the story of the game. Now, I don't want to play a narrative game. I want to give a story for the game, but when it comes to combat, I want as little painless combat as possible. And Theater of the Mind is painless for me, and it works out fine. And my group is used to it. Both my groups now, because I have two groups, they're both used to it now, and I will give maps when it comes to like when they go to invade an office building or something, or they go and we're playing fantasy, they go in a camp. I will give them a map of the camp so they can look at it from a point of view. So it gives them a little bit of an idea where they want to go. And I will throw that in the chat on Discord or whatever else we're playing on, so everybody's on the same page. I don't know. Hopefully this inspired some people here to talk about theater of the mind and get some ideas how it works. I know this wasn't exactly AD&D today, but it falls under the AD&D umbrella because theater of the mind applies to AD&D too. A lot of people I know that play AD&D will use theater of the mind. All right. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I'm going to head out. Hopefully you have a great weekend. And definitely keep sending those emails, folks. And I'll answer all any questions I can. I appreciate that. Hopefully you will do well on the weekend with your game. Hopefully you'll get all the crits that you need. I think, was it may all your hits be crits? Something like that they say. I'm going to head out. Keep it original. Keep it old school. Good night, and God bless everybody.